Hello friends, my name is Dan Gosling, also known as the ChopSaver Guy, and I'm thrilled to be launching a new interview series. Hopefully we're going to interview some interesting people from the world of ChopSaver, the music world, and beyond. And I am joined today by Michael Martin, a member of the Boston Symphony Orchestra trumpet section. Thrilled that he came into town. It was actually through social media that I found out you were in town. On Instagram, you posted that you were going to be in Indy, and I reached out to Michael because of that, and we very quickly put this all together with the help of the Honor Orchestra of America, which is part of the Music for All National Festival, which is going on this week in Indianapolis, and we are joined by some of the supremely talented young brass players from that orchestra. And I heard you guys rehearsing this morning. Scary stuff. You guys sound great. So Michael, your Instagram says, I believe it's Atlanta raised, Chicago trained,
Chicago
educated, Boston based.
Boston based, yeah.
So why don't we just start with that as a jumping off point, and we'll probably take some questions from you guys, and I have a few questions that were provided through our Facebook page. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, I grew up in Marietta, Georgia, which is just north of Atlanta, and was obviously surrounded by music from an early age. My father, Freddie, is a band director in the Atlanta area. And as a horn player, so I was, exposed to brass playing from pretty much my first memory. And my brother Chris, who's 10 years older.
Chris is a pretty fair trumpet player.
Yeah, he's all right.
If you don't know, Chris Martin, Michael's older brother, is principal trumpet of the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. So no crazy talent in that family.
So he, about the time that I was coming into middle school, 6th grade, choosing an instrument, Chris was just leaving the Eastman School of Music and starting.
Because you two you're 10 years apart.
10 years, yeah, he's 10 years ahead of me. So he was just leaving the Eastman School of Music and starting his position with the Philadelphia Orchestra. Wow. So I was hearing plenty of good trumpet playing when I was just starting out, which made it a little frustrating, making my first sounds on the instrument and wanting to sound like that. But
what a role model.
But it was I look at people who don't come from the background that I came from, exposed to music from an early age, and having a sibling essentially lay the path out for you. And I look at others who have gotten to the same place that I've gotten, or similar places, and that didn't come from musical families. And I'm just completely in awe of what they've done, because I felt, even though I've worked incredibly hard to get where I am, I felt like I started with a little bit of an edge. So my mother sings in the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra chorus. She's won more Grammys than me or my brother. So, I studied piano with her from a very early age, and so music was always in our house, of course. But I was never. My parents were very diligent about never pigeonholing me into a music career. They were extremely. They were very intense about me exploring as many different avenues as possible. I played every sport growing up as a kid. I did tons of extracurricular activities at school because they wanted me to be happy in whatever I did, and to pursue that goal with those reasons in mind, just for myself, not because anyone else was forcing me to do it, or because I felt pressure based on how successful Chris was or anything like that. So, and those dreams of wanting to play the trumpet for a living. They started, actually, despite growing up hearing my brother play and hearing how wonderful he was. The catalyst for my wanting to play the trumpet was actually seeing the movie Jurassic Park in theaters, and I think we're all familiar with John Williams' scores, and that one in particular, to me, it really just it moved me in a way that's just kind of inexplicable. It just connected with me on a very basic emotional level, and the trumpet playing in that by Malcolm McNabb was just, and all the guys in that section, but him in particular, was just phenomenal, and that's what really set it off. So, and then Chris studied with Charlie Geyer and Barbara Butler at Eastman.
So now we're to Chicago training.
So now we're sort of getting out of Atlanta and heading towards Chicago, and I knew that based on the success he had had with them, and how much he raved about their teaching and how much he got from it, he went there a phenomenal player. He came out one of the best in the world. So I knew the level I needed to get to be considered for that studio. But more importantly, that was my main goal, was to be good enough both musically and academically, because they had moved to Northwestern since my brother had graduated. And Northwestern's a tough university to get into, and so that, for me, a little bit more than the trumpet, because the trumpet things were going very well, and I was doing well with the path that I was on. But academics, I really had to focus on and make sure that SAT scores were up, and all my exam scores and just GPA, all of that was as high as I could possibly get it. I remember the day my brother called me, actually the day that I got into school, and it's still to this day one of the most memorable phone calls I've ever had.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, and so I was there for 4 years. I studied with Charlie Geyer for my undergraduate. Just tremendous 4 years, and then did a 1-year master's and studied with Barbara Butler. And I would say as influential a single year of study as I could have ever expected or imagined. And
I know what that's like, actually.
Yeah.
I did a 1-year master's at Northwestern myself back in 1999, and a few years before Michael was there. But an amazing place, I would say, an amazing place. Really, no matter who's been teaching there, it's the brass legacy there is just second to none.
It's incredible. I find that it's really an extension of the brass history in that town in general, cultivated by the CSO and extended through Northwestern and DePaul and Roosevelt, and just a brass destination city for sure. And so I was there. I played 3 years in the Civic Orchestra of Chicago, which is the training orchestra of the Chicago Symphony. My last 2 years in school, and then 1 year beyond. So I was freelancing a little bit, and I finished my last season with Civic in spring of 2009. And freelancing kind of all over the place around the country. I played. I was subbing with Chicago Symphony a little bit, subbing with the Boston Symphony a little bit. I played 2 tours with the Burning River Brass, which was a phenomenal experience. And I would say if you're not familiar with that group, you absolutely have to go buy and download all of their albums, because that's a phenomenal group of players. And,
Instrumentation is?
Instrumentation's it's 4 trumpets, 2 horns, 3 trombones, euphonium tuba, and 1 guy on percussion. And it's a tremendous group. The versatility and virtuosity that they showcase on a regular basis was awesome to be a part of. I was very fortunate to do that. Went to Seoul, Korea, and played a stint as a guest principal trumpet there for a couple of weeks, and also went to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and I played there just for a week shortly before going to Boston. My audition for the Boston Symphony was in February of 2010, and that audition was actually for second trumpet, and the fourth trumpet at the time ended up winning the position outright. And then they invited myself and 2 others to play an extra final round in the section.
To fill the chair that he left.
To fill the chair that he left in the event that he got tenure. So it was a very unique and unprecedented circumstance, but they were very pleased with the playing that they heard from all 4 of us, Ben included, obviously. And that's what led to me being third utility trumpet now. So
fantastic.